Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I'm bringing you guys an update to my Drytron deck profile. This is such a fun deck, and we just got Cyber Angel Ben 10 back to 3 on our recent list, which just came out a few weeks ago. Darkwing Blast really did not affect this deck too much, so this deck is going to be running pretty similar to how it used to before. We're just going to be able to abuse Cyber Angel Ben 10 that much more to be able to get us into extra like hand traps and stuff like that. So this is going to be the pure build, basically, running Cyber Angels and whatnot. We are going to get into the deck profile, but really quickly, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of the channel, which is Mammoth Headwear, one of our biggest sponsors. I really appreciate that you guys have actually been putting orders through with these guys, so it looks like you guys like this sponsor. So if you guys are at all interested in buying more from them, Mammoth Headwear basically makes hats for guys who have extremely large heads, or women, and then also like you know, if you have dreadlocks, or again, like if you just have a large size head or whatever it is, Mammoth Headwear is really awesome for that reason. It has an extra gigantic like cap to it, and then it has like a whole bunch of buttons on the back. So really love them. They have a new line right now with some glow in the dark hats, as well as a black and red one, which is new to their line. So would really appreciate it if you guys would go ahead and check them out at mammothheadwear.com. There is a link in the description below to get to them, as well as a discount code for 10% off if you guys use code CommonCollector10 at checkout. That will help to support the channel and to get your guys a nice little discount there for you. But anyways, let's get on into the profile. We're going to be going on into obviously 3 copies of Alpha. Alpha is going to get you into your ritual monster searches, and the really cool thing about this particular deck is we are playing now the Magic Key ritual monster, which will then get you into the counter trap to be able to stop things like Dark Ruler No More and the like, just like the big blowout cards that are going to ruin your deck or ruin your board that you've like worked really hard to build. So we are playing 3 of the Alpha. Alpha is going to mainly try to search for your Megalith Fool or your Magic Key ritual. So try to keep in mind that you're not really trying to search for Ben 10 with this, as well as with later your Diviner of the Herald. You want to save those searches for your non-fairy ritual monsters, but we will get on into that in a little bit later. Then we're playing 3 copies of Zeta, so we can search for our ritual spell. 3 copies of Gamma, obviously, because we like extra monsters. 2 copies of Delta to be able to just draw into extra cards. And then, obviously, the 1 card that I have to play, which is controversial to everything that I stand for, and that the community stands for, is the 1 copy of the Beta Rostaban. There are a multitude of reasons why I like this card. Mainly because Cyber Angel Ben 10 is at 3 now, so that means that we do have extra names that we can go through and extra triggers. So like there are a few times that like maybe you'll use Alpha, which you have to search for Ben 10, and you can't use like your Megalith or your Magic Key engines. And so then like you know, and then like later you have to like foolish one of these guys to the graveyard or something, but you end up using like your triggers and stuff, and then maybe like Beta Rostaban is in the graveyard and you can still trigger a Ben 10. It is really nice to have that option, and it's just another name. Then we are getting on into Diviner of the Herald. You know, you obviously have your targets to send, which are your Herald, your Herald of the Arclight and your Elder Entity Natis. And so when you're searching off of the Arclight, like I said, you just want to go for your Megalith Fool or your Magic Key ritual monster, and we will get into that when we do like the combo stuff. For other fairies that you can search off of Ben 10, we have 1 copy of Scythe and 1 copy of Lancia. Lancia is pretty darn good right now because the Bestial deck is out. I believe I said at the beginning of this video that like the Darkwing Blast really didn't like affect this deck too much, so like there weren't like new cards to put into it. However, we do still have options to stop banishing and stuff against the Bestials and whatnot, so having Lancia in here is really nice. And then 1 copy of Chaos Valkyria to be able to get into Baron de Fleur very early. I almost cut it because we are playing the Megalith engine still, and we can go into the level 4, but still it is really good. Sorry for the mixed rarities here, but guys, remember, this is the Common Collector channel. You know, it's not the rarity, it's how you use it. So we have 3 copies of Cyber Angel Benton. Feels so good to be able to have this card at 3. This card is so powerful, so nice. 1 copy of Ida 10. I'm seeing people drop Ida 10 because now Benton is at 3, but the Ida 10 is just super duper good to be able to go into stuff like Beatrice and whatnot with like your Fool or whatever else you have on the field. Then obviously the 1 copy of Natasha. Never dropping Natasha. She's so good. 1 copy of Fool and 1 copy of Ophiel. And then 1 copy of Bethor. This is a really slimmed down package because usually you used to play like 2 of each and then the 1 Bethor. But now what I do is I just go into Fool. Fool searches Ophiel, gets Ophiel out of the deck, and then you use Ophiel to search for Bethor, and then you go into Bethor on your opponent's turn. So the way that I actually curated this deck different than other people is because people are playing the Sprite Elf in this deck. So a lot of people are loving Sprite Elf because you can bring back Diviner of the Herald during your opponent's turn, and then you can get Elder Entity Natis and then get a pop. So that's why we are only playing 1 copy of Diviner. But then it started bugging me that people were not playing the Megalith engine anymore because Megalith Fool is a level 2. So once it hits the graveyard, it is a level 2 because it does modify its level while it's on the field, and you add like Ben 10 back to hand, then it becomes a 6. However, the thing that you basically do in this deck is that you get Fool out, search for your Ben 10 back to your hand, get out Elf, and then once you get Elf out, you bring Fool back from the graveyard as long as it was properly ritual summoned. Then you just get that free body, and then during your opponent's turn, you can use Fool's effect to be able to go into your Bethor, and then Bethor is going to be able to pop multiple cards on your opponent's side of the field for big time disruptions. And then you just use your Sprite Elf during your opponent's turn to bring Diviner back because the Elf is a quick effect. I'm just going to doubly check that, but yes, quick effect, special summon a level 2 monster from the graveyard. So just super duper good to be able to do that. You get additional pops, and if you're going up against, like I was playing against Labyrinth at locals this last weekend, and he went set 4 pass, and I just literally summoned Bethor, popped all 4 of his set cards, before he ended his turn, and like that was just it. So this card is just super duper good. It's a little bit bricky to like toss into here because like this deck is actually at 43 cards in the main, but we are just playing 43 cards so we can reduce on seeing the bricks and make sure that we see the combo pieces that we need. Getting on then into the Beto Buster, the magic key that I was mentioning earlier. When this card is summoned, then you're able to search for any magic key spell or trap. So then you can go for your counter trap. Getting on then into the spells, we were playing 3 copies of Drytron Nova, and obviously still the 2 copies of the Meteonis Drytron. You could play this only at 1 copy. Also, like DD Crow is seeing less play nowadays because of the Bestial cards and whatnot, so you actually could be a little bit more safe playing this card at 1. So if you wanted to drop this to a 42 card deck, that's fine, but I still just really like this at 2 because you can get additional summons sometimes and go into like more Link or XZ plays. 1 copy of Drytron Fafnir, that's going to do it for our Drytron cards, and then we are going to be playing 3 copies of basically like another like honorary mention Drytron card, these 3 Cyber Emergency. 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet because it's pretty free because you can send your Drytrons straight to the graveyard and summon them back. And then 2 copies of Preparation of Rites. This was basically like the last 2 cards to make this a 43 card deck. But Preparation of Rites is super duper important for this deck because, like I said, basically your Diviner search off of like the Herald and your Drytron Alpha is basically these 2 all the time need to be going for your Fool and your Beto Buster. So the reason why I like having Prep of Rites is in case you do get hand trapped, you always have Preparation of Rites to be able to search for those, or if you just don't open with Ben 10, you can search for Ben 10. So these are your 5th names of Ben 10, or just your additional names of Fool or Beto Buster. And then also this card can bring back your ritual spell back from the graveyard. So again, if you want to play this at 42 cards with this exact same build, just cut one of the Meteonis Drytrons. There are always ways to bring back the Meteonis Drytron back to your hand with that Preparation of Rites. 1 Foolish Burial just to get you any name that you need. Also, Foolish Burial is also like another pseudo way. If you can't get into Prep of Rites and you get hand trapped, Foolish Burial, you can literally just Foolish Burial the Beto Buster or the Fool, and then summon it from graveyard with your ritual spell, and just like that, you have your ritual monster name out of the deck that you needed. 1 Called by the Grave, 1 copy of Cosmic Cyclone, just in case we come across Mystic Mine, and then for the last card of the deck, the 1 copy of Magic Key Unlocking to be able to negate one of our opponent's spell or trap cards. But that is going to do it for the 43 card main deck, and make sure that you guys stay for the combo tutorial. We are going to be doing a little bit of a combo, but we are going to get on into the extra deck. We're playing 2 copies of the Drytron Moon Beta Fafnir. Obviously, you got to be playing this card. A lot of people like, I would agree every now and then you come into a situation where you almost wish you had 3 of this, but you just kind of got to play it at 2 and run with it. 1 copy of Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal. 1 copy of Downard and Zeus. Sometimes it comes up being able to go into Zeus. It's really nice when you can go into him. If you're playing like an XZ monster that usually can stay on the board, you might as well. Then we're going on into 1 copy of Relinquished Anima. I decided to finally cut Karibo, or the Link Karibo, for Anima, because just breaking boards is so crucial nowadays. And so if you're going first and you just have to go into Link Karibo, you just go into Anima instead, and it's just dead in the water. It's just going to hit the graveyard and do nothing. But it's nice having him in the extra deck in case you're going across something that's really, really big that you need to just suck up. Then we're going on into 1 copy of IP Masquerena, then our 1 copy of Sprite Elf. As I mentioned, this card is just super duper good to be able to go into. We're not playing any level 2s, but we are playing a lot of Link 2s. So we are playing the 1 copy of Artifact Dagda. So the basic play is you get out Dagda, and then eventually when Dagda's on the field, you go ahead and you activate your ritual spell, the Meteonis Drytron, and then that's going to allow you to trigger Dagda, and then Dagda is going to go ahead and set Scythe to your field. In case you can't get like enough Ben 10 searches, then you can set Scythe to the field, and then eventually you just link off Dagda with like one of your Drytrons or something to go into Sprite Elf. Then, like I mentioned before, Sprite Elf, during your turn, you can summon back the Sprite, or the Megalith Fool, from your graveyard, and then during your opponent's turn, you're going to summon your Diviner of the Herald back to your field during your opponent's turn, sending your Elder Entity Natis, and popping one of your opponent's additional cards. So overall, this package is just super duper nice, being able to go into Dagda and then Elf. Overall, this works super duper nicely. Then moving on, we for like our IP Masquerena target, we have a Unicorn as well as an Apollousa Bow of the Goddess, and lastly, 1 copy of Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. So overall, playing Underworld Goddess and playing your Relinquished Anima together really helps you to like take a lot of your opponent's resources away, as well as Natasha. So it's maybe a little bit of overkill, but I just really like it. It's just super duper good, and Underworld Goddess obviously gets around like your unbeatable towers boss monsters. Then for our Diviner targets, obviously we have Natis and Herald of the Arclight, and then we have our 1 copy of Baronne de Fleur to round off the 15 card extra deck. You can go into Baronne very easily, either as or before your 5th summon, so very, very nice to round off the extra deck. But now let's get into a quick little combo video. Okay guys, so for this combo video, we are going to be doing a 3-card combo, which is basically how you get into your, quote-unquote unbreakable board. So we're going to be able to end on stuff like a Scythe Lock, get into our Magic Key so we can get away from being hit by Dark Ruler no more and stuff like that. But basically the way that we are going to be getting into all of this, and also being Nibiru proof, so we're going to be going in with Alpha, Zeta, and obviously our Ben 10. So like with these 3 cards, or you can probably change it up, and like if you had like if instead of having like Zeta you had like Gamma and stuff, and then you just sort of change your order of stuff. But we have other ways to get into all these cards. Like I mentioned before, we have Foolish Burial to send these guys. We have 2 Preparation of Rites, as well as like our 3 copies of all of these cards. So you have 2 additional copies of Ben 10. We have our Drytron Nova, our Drytron Fafnir, and our extra Cyber Emergencies to be able to get into all of our Drytron names that we need. So it is super duper consistent and very easy to get into this lineup. So the way that we are going to start out is we are just going to take our Alpha, and we are going to pitch our Ben 10 to be able to get Alpha to the field and get his search off. So with our Alpha, we are going to search for our Megalith Fool. He's really important to get into right away. And then our Ben 10 is going to search for our Diviner of the Herald. Now, I did lie earlier when I said that Diviner always has to go for your Magic Key guy or for the Fool. We already have the Fool, but we are not actually going to be searching for the Magic Key Beto Buster. We're going to send the Diviner of the Herald, and then Diviner is actually just going to, or sorry, Herald of the Arclight is actually just going to get us into a Ben 10 here, and we are going to actually be using Beatrice to be able to go into our Beto Busters. So that just sort of shows you the other routes that you can get into with like Foolish Burial and whatnot. So now we're going to use Zeta to be able to pitch Ben 10, and we'll summon Zeta to the field. Zeta will then go ahead and act to add our Meteonis Drytron, and then our Ben 10 is going to add our Chaos Valkyria. We can then special summon Chaos Valkyria to the field by banishing our Herald of the Arclight. It is a light attribute in our graveyard, so we can banish that. And then we can just take these two. This is going to be our 5th summon, so we're able to go into Baronne de Fleur as our 5th summon. Being nib-proof is going to be really huge, and just having that Omni-Negate either for our turn or during our opponent's first turn is going to be really awesome. Then we're going to take these two and go into our copy of Mu Beta Fafnir. Fafnir is then going to dump to the graveyard our Gamma, so we'll take Gamma to the graveyard, and once he hits the graveyard, then we are able to activate our Meteonis Drytron, get rid of one of the materials, and special summon Fool to the field. Now, Fool is just like the heart and soul of the deck, actually. He just helps you so much, and like I said, it's just really nice having Fool in here to pair with your Sprite Elf to be able to just get all of your combos going. So Fool is going to add our Ben 10 back to our hand. So now at this point, what we can do, actually, I was about to add the Meteonis Drytron to hand, but we're actually going to not do that. What we're going to do is we're going to leave Meteonis Drytron in the graveyard, and we are going to go ahead and activate Gamma's effect Engrave, and we are going to pitch the Ben 10 in our hand, special summon Gamma as well as our Zeta. Then our Ben 10 Engrave will go ahead and search for our other Ben 10, and now this would be the appropriate time to activate our Meteonis Drytron. So we'll add it back to hand by reducing the attack of one of these guys. They don't really matter because we're just going to link them off right away to go into Dagda. Then, since we have our Ben 10 in hand, we can then activate our Fool. So Fool is going to go ahead and pitch the Ben 10. So unlike Ophiel, he does not have to get rid of himself. So you can just ritual summon a Megalith Ritual from hand or deck by tributing monsters from hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed. So we can go for our Ophiel. Special Ophiel, and this is also going to trigger Dagda as well as our Ben 10. So Ophiel is going to go ahead and search for our Bethor. Ben 10 is going to search for our Iditen, and then our Dagda is going to go ahead and set our Scythe onto the field. So overall, this is starting to look really, really nice. So what we are going to do next then is we will go ahead and we will activate our Meteonis Drytron to be able to get rid of our last material on our Mu Beta Fafnir to go into Iditen. Iditen then on summon is going to add back our Meteonis Drytron back from the grave, or you can search for the one in deck. I like leaving the one in deck. That way you get another search off with your Zeta on your next turn, because you should be able to last until your next turn and then be able to go in for more ritual plays, which is really cool. So we have our Iditen hits the field. We can then also take these two, the Dagda and the Ophiel, and go ahead and link summon into a Sprite Elf. Sprite Elf just needs 2 monsters, including a link 2 or level or rank 2. So we use our link 2 Dagda as like our main material there. Then we'll take these two and overlay into Beatrice. Activate Beatrice's effect on summon to detach the Fool. Make sure that it is the Fool, and then we are going to send our Beto Buster to the graveyard. Then we still have our Meteonis Drytron in hand, so we can go ahead and activate our Meteonis Drytron, get rid of our Mu Beta Fafnir on field. Again, make sure that you don't reduce his attack when you add this back to hand, because you do need his attack at full to be able to go into the Beta Buster, because he has the 2000 attack. So we will get rid of that there. On summon then, we're also going to summon him to this zone that the arrows point to for Sprite Elf. Beto Buster on summon is going to search for our counter trap, and we can just go ahead and set the counter trap to our field as well. So then our last thing to do on our turn is we can use Elf to bring the Fool back. Again, this is just why Fool is just so nice, to be able to get him back. And then as a quick effect, during your opponent's turn, you're able to go into the Bethor. Bethor is going to have a lot of targets, so eventually your Cyber Angel Iditen is going to hit the graveyard, maybe even your Beto Buster, and then Fool will as well. So you're going to be able to pop 1, 2, and then possibly like 3, 4, 5 other cards on your opponent's side of the field. For sure, 4 is usually what the trigger that you get off of this. But yeah, Bathor is just super duper powerful. And then also during your turn, your opponent's turn, Sprite Elf is going to be able to special summon out the Diviner to the field, being able to pop another card, which is also just super duper good. So you just have to make sure that you have enough zones, because obviously like your Bathor needs to go somewhere, your Diviner needs to go somewhere. So just sort of playing around with your zones and stuff is really cool. But then also like the other thing you can do is that if you did have extra extenders, like let's say that you opened up with like Natasha and Beta as like your Rostaban, as like these were your 4th and 5th cards in your hand, you could just summon out the Rostaban by pitching Natasha, turn these two into an IP Masquerena, or if this was like a Delta, there's just a ton of different ways that all of this can go down. Because Beatrice doesn't really do too much on your turn, you could just use Beatrice to send a Beta or a Delta to your graveyard. Or Natasha, just so Natasha is out of your deck, and then you could possibly use it on your opponent. But there's just a myriad of other things you could do if you had one more extender, and then like with an IP Masquerena, you could take a whole bunch of guys to go into Appaloosa. But overall, having this as your end board is still really nice. Like I said, you still have that Diviner play. Go ahead and pop something. You can still find some way to get Bathor out onto the field, and then also pop additional stuff, because you're also going to be getting like rid of the Fool to get Bathor out. So there's just a ton of stuff. And again, your Diviner is going to be popping your Scythe once it hits the field. So the Diviner hits the field, you pitch the Natis, pop the Scythe, and you also need a zone to bring out for the Scythe lock. But there are definitely a ton of different ways to do that. Again, if you get into IP Masquerena and you go into Appaloosa, that will open up some zones as well. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching this combo tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is really fun to pick back up again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I know I have. I've been just having a blast putting this deck back together, playing with our 3 of our favorite girl, Cyber Angel Ben 10. So again, don't forget to check out Megalith, or I got Megaliths all in my head now. Check out Mammoth Headwear if you guys are interested in financially supporting the channel and getting some new headgear. I think that would be really cool. I'd really appreciate it. And just remember, you know, it's not the rarity, it's how you use it, guys. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and we'll see you guys for the next video. Peace.